Hello, this is Haider Ali, and we're looking at Chapter 2 of Principles of Marketing. This question asks, explain why a perfectly competitive market would rule out most marketing activities. How do marketers use the elements of the marketing mix in order to ensure that a perfectly competitive market does not arise? As I've mentioned in a number of other occasions, this question, you can see, asks you about a topic related to Chapter 2 very directly, which is to do with competitive markets, but also the question draws on a range of other topics from across the syllabus when we talk about the elements of the marketing mix, for which you would need to know what we mean by product, place, price, and promotion, and how those elements of the marketing mix actually work. As I've mentioned in reference to other chapters, you need to bear this thing in mind, that questions can refer to a range of chapters, and where students have focused their revision and perhaps excluded certain chapters from revision, this can mean that they end up losing a substantial number of marks. This is a deliberate feature of exam questions that the examiners have brought in order to ensure that people revise across the syllabus. So the first thing we're looking at here are the assumptions underlying perfect competition. As you'll see, perfect competition is explained in some detail in the second chapter of the study guide. There are four key features here which are important: price-taking behavior, product homogeneity, perfect information, and the perfect mobility of resources. Again, as you're revising for your exams, you need to understand some of the ways in which concepts relate to others in other topics. For example, product homogeneity, which is discussed here, has significant links with the notion of product tangibility, which comes up later when we talk about products and services, and particularly service and product tangibility. That products which are very tangible tend to be very homogeneous as well. Now, those are the assumptions underlying perfect competition. Let's look at the implications of those assumptions. Price-taking refers to firms and consumers having to take whatever price the market sets. So it's the market that sets the prices, and buyers and sellers have to take the price that the market has set. Because of product homogeneity, because all marketeers, all sellers, are selling essentially the same product or service, what will happen as a result is that customers will make their purchasing decision based purely on prices, because there are no differences between the products or services on offer. As far as perfect information is concerned, what that means is that buyers have perfect information about the product or service that's available. By perfect information, what we mean is they know exactly what the specifications are, they know exactly what the advantages of the product are, they know exactly what the disadvantages of the product are. The notion of perfect information is actually the opposite to that of bounded rationality. When we have bounded rationality, what that's referring to is where consumers or buyers are not able to determine what the good products are or what the bad products are. Here, people have all the information available about the products they want to buy. And finally, we have perfect mobility of resources, which refers to competitors finding it easy to enter the market if profits are being made. The contrast to this would be a situation where even if profits were being made, new competitors couldn't enter the market because they would find it difficult to gather the appropriate resources. So, how do marketeers use the elements of the marketing mix in order to ensure that a perfectly competitive market doesn't arise? Now, implicit in this statement is the idea that marketeers do not like perfectly competitive markets. This is generally the case, and the point is that marketeers do not want to be in a position where the products they are selling are homogeneous, where they're exactly the same as that of their competitors, and as a result, the marketeer has to charge whatever the market setting price is. There are various ways in which marketeers try to ensure that perfectly competitive markets don't arise. For example, branding is used in order to ensure that the products are not seen as being homogeneous. This is quite important. If you consider what happens when one goes into a supermarket, one sees lots of different products in different product categories. So, for example, if we're looking at washing up powders, within that product category, there are many, many different brands. What that means is this, that if we buy a particular brand and we like the way it works, we feel that it washes our clothes very well, that it's not too expensive, the next time we go into the supermarket, we can seek out that brand and buy it again. So branding is a means by which marketers can distinguish their offering and make sure that customers can identify them and keep going back to buy the same product over and over again. On the other hand, if we lived in a world where branding wasn't allowed, and when we went into the supermarket, all we saw were blank boxes, then there'd be no means by which marketers could distinguish their offering, and customers would be left in a position where all they would do is buy products based on the cheapest price. So marketers would be put back into a perfectly competitive situation where they had to take the market clearing price. Marketers can also use promotions in order to differentiate their offerings from that of those of their competitors. Now, those promotions could be, for example, advertising or sales promotions, direct selling, and so on. Sorry, direct marketing and so on. Other elements of the marketing mix that marketers can use, within product, for example, you have patents. Patents marketers use in order to ensure that competitive offerings are limited. If you consider especially various high technology products, such as, say, Nokia cell phones, mobile telephones, those made by Apple, for example, these are protected by a whole host of patents to ensure that the product itself, for example, say the iPhone, does not become homogeneous, that other manufacturers do not produce lookalikes. And marketers can also try and achieve a situation where there isn't perfect competition by focusing on segments whose needs they can meet more specifically, that they can create products or services that are specific to that particular segment, so people within that segment will get the perception that they can only truly satisfy their needs and wants by buying a particular brand. Other brands are not perfect substitutes.